Rashida had always trusted Kirk, so seeing him drop on one knee in front of Jasmine was a blow she never saw coming. The truth of it all felt strange, like a scene from a twisted soap opera. Rashida perched on the edge of the couch, her pulse beating as the news hit home. She gasped, "Can you believe this?" Barely above a whisper as memories of their battles, victories, and shared dreams rushed before her eyes. The room seemed oppressive, the walls closing in. Her friends gathered around, sensing the storm brewing within her, and tried to console her and offer words of support, but the betrayal cut deep. She had stood by Kirk through thick and thin, weathering their ups and downs, and now this thought of him proposing to someone else felt like a betrayal of everything they had. Tremor, anger, and heartbreak swirled inside her, threatening to overwhelm her composure after everything we've been through. Constructed together, believing that we were creating a life together, she replied, her voice trembling with a mix of incredulity and rage. How could he abandon everything for someone else? The grief was intense, a wound that would not heal one of her friends. Mia leaned in nearer. "You have always been the rock in this relationship, Rashida, so don't let him take that away from you. You deserve so much more than this." As Rashida dried her eyes, she sensed a glimmer of rage rising within her. "You're accurate. I refuse to let him define my value. I'm tired of being the understanding wife. This is my wake-up call." Her friends gathered around her, reminding her of all the times she had fought for their family and chosen love over resentment. They had supported her through the highs and lows. She could feel the bitterness coming through in her words, but they also saw a growing strength. "You've worked hard," Mia remarked, "and he's simply brushing it off as if it doesn't matter." "I've given him my all," Rashida continued, her voice growing stronger. "I was there for him when he needed me. I've backed him through every business endeavor and scandal. This is how he repays me." Nothing happened while she listened, and the weight of betrayal started to shift. A mixture of pity and empowerment filled the gathering. With a determined expression lighting up her features, Rashida got up and wiped her face with the back of her hand. "If he believes he can, I'll demonstrate to him what's lacking. It's time for me to take control of my life. If he wants a fairy tale with Jasmine, then he can have it, but I'm rewriting my story. Just walk away. He's got another thing coming. I'm not going to sit here and let him play the victim while he's out here living his best life with someone else." She paced the room, her mind racing. Her companions nodded in agreement at the conviction in her voice. They were like armor against the anguish, and she refused to let it define her. She kept the fire going. Her friends came together to explore methods to help her recover her identity, and she felt something inside her say, "I'm going to rise from this stronger than ever. I deserve happiness too. I've spent so long trying to make him happy, trying to fix what's broken. But what about me? Begin concentrating on your interests. Mia advised you to focus on your music and business since you are really talented, and it's time to showcase it." Through her tears, Rashida grinned, sensing a sense of clarity. She declared in a steady voice, "He thinks he can break me, but I'm going to come back stronger. I've invested so much energy into him, but I have dreams of my own, and it's time I invest in myself." With every word, she felt lighter. The betrayal still hurt, but it wasn't the turning point in her life. They spoke late into the night as they planned her return, her seeming bolder and unrecognizable. Rashida sensed a change in the focus that before, hanging in the air, was now imbued with the feeling of possibility. "I'm prepared to take back my story." Friends applauded Rashida as she spoke, expressing confidence that this was not the end of her story, but rather the start of a new one. In that moment, Rashida realized she would not only get through this heartbreak, but also thrive in spite of it with a renewed sense of purpose. She imagined a future full of her own goals and dreams, one in which she was the star of her own show. After years of drama, betrayals, and never-ending cycles of hope and disappointment, Rashida had finally reached her breaking point. She stood in her living room, ready to take a stand, arms crossed and heart hammering. The atmosphere crackled with unresolved emotions, and the air was heavy with tension. Kirk Frost, her constant companion, was more strange than ever as he stood in front of her. "Enough is enough, Kirk. I have completed the..." is found in the games. The moment lingered in the air like a storm cloud about to explode, and Rashida claimed that her voice was calm, but laced with an intensity that might set the place on fire. Kirk, taken aback by the intensity of her comments, moved uneasily while attempting to keep his cool. "Baby, let's talk about this," he begged, his voice faltering as he ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that typically made Rashida cry, but not this time. She fired back, her eyes narrowing as each word dripped with venom, each syllable an echo of the betrayal that had festered between them. "Your patience worn thin by years of trying to heal what was broken. You think you can simply walk back in here after everything." She was done with Kirk, despite his attempts to play on her feelings by bringing up their years together and their shared past. "We have a family, Rashida. You can't just throw that away," he said. The manipulation of emotions this time, she wasn't going to back down. "You think a family survives on deceit?" She shot back, rising. "You've betrayed my trust by taking it and stomping on it despite my patience and many chances." For once, Kirk appeared little and defenseless, and there was an obvious fire in her eyes. Desperation could be heard in his voice. "Give me another chance. I can change." But Rashida was no longer the same lady. Kirk's frustration boiled over, saying, "You'll regret this. You're letting someone drag her back down." She responded, her heart racing, the weight of their turbulent relationship becoming a burden she was no longer willing to bear. She felt liberated, empowered, and ready to reclaim her life. Who would easily forgive and forget that she had fought too hard for her own self-worth? "Committing a grave error," he shot back, raising his voice in rage, but Rashida only grinned, her mouth corners lifting in defiance. "I doubt it. I'm finally free," she replied with a feeling of liberation. With every statement, she felt lighter and released the poisonous energy he had brought into her life. Her heart was racing as she approached the door, feeling like a warrior prepared to face the world. "If you want to toss me out, great. I'll show you what you'll be missing." Field gathering his possessions in a huff, the sight of him scrambling only fueled her determination. She watched him, knowing that the guy standing before her was not the partner she had previously loved, but a shell of the man she dreamed he would be as he packed clothing into a duffel bag. Rashida could feel the betrayal and falsehoods that had become their daily lives as the truth of their predicament set in, and the love they had once shared seemed like a distant memory. The year's weight releasing from her shoulders to make place for hope and new beginnings to depart. "Kirk, you deserve more than this," she stated in a steady voice. Following Kirk's departure, Rashida stood in the ensuing stillness, her pulse racing, this time from excitement rather than fear, as she motioned towards the door and declared, "I'm reclaiming my space, my life, and I'm not looking back." She then let out a big breath, feeling a renewed sense of empowering energy pulsating through her. The turbulent memories of their connection vanished, enabling her to embrace the thrilling prospect of independence and personal growth on the outside. Kirk walked, the consequences of his decisions pressing down on him. He had lost more than just a place to live. He had also lost the lady who had supported him through good times and bad. The game had changed, and he knew he couldn't simply go back. Rashida was a formidable opponent, and he was about to find out the hard way. The drama between Kirk Frost and Rashida is heating up right now. After years of his lies and cheating, Rashida is ready to move on and file for child support from Kirk. Kirk is a serial cheater and a master at deception, so much so that she doesn't even want her kids around him. The scene is set for a fiery showdown, and everyone is watching. Will Kirk rise to the occasion or spiral deep into chaos? Not to mention Kirk's history of lying. Recall the time when Jasmine spilled tea on Carly while she was reading about Kirk and having a son. This isn't no longer a love tale with a hip-hop plot, and she's making it plain that she's done with the farce.
Kirk's baby. Kirk who? Kirk who? Kirk, bro.
Carly confronted him, and Kirk had the nerve to lie to Jasmine's face, acting like he didn't even know who she was.
You have a baby by this girl.
Do I have a baby? Do I look like I got a baby by her?
Do you know her?
Have you seen her before? You don't know me?
I might have seen you in Atlanta.
Kirk, you don't know me.
Do I?
Kirk tried to flip the script, convincing Rashida that it was all just a prank because he knew Carly would tell Rash about the whole mess.
You got a baby with some chick, and
What?
I'm thinking it's a joke. So I'm looking like, okay, really? I got a baby with a chick, cool. But then the broad come walking out the back.
Well, who is the broad?
Some drunk broad stumbling at the bar and like,
What's her name?
Jasmine.
Nevertheless, Carrie showed up with all the receipts revealing Kirk and Jasmine's connection.
She said he met her at a strip club. Fast forward to, they had sex. Fast forward to, now she's pregnant. Fast forward to, he moved her in your old building. She lives downstairs from y'all. She's met Carter. She's hung out with Kirk's family. And I didn't believe anything she's telling me at this point, right? I was like, show me something. So she shows me text messages from Kirk. I said, let me see the number. She was like, no, he uses a whole nother phone. He got 2 phones.
Really?
She showed me a video. And the video was her in her apartment and Kirk is holding the baby. And she was like, say hi to daddy.
Who could forget when Rashida perused those clumsy text exchanges between Jasmine and Kirk? Unbelievable, standing there denying each message she wrote to Jasmine while Rashida had the evidence in front of her. Like Kirk, how big of a liar is she? Can you be Cheetah is fed up with Kirk's refusing to take responsibility for too long, and he now has to deal with the fallout. This is going to become even more chaotic.